I'd like to start every single presentation with a reminder of our mission, dedicated to fostering a vibrant, inclusive, and nurturing community committed to the holistic and long-term development of our players, parents, and coaches in youth soccer. And I think this is really important because it drives what we do. Underneath, we have part of our 5-year plan. We have the academy, which I will touch on and go into that a little bit more in depth here because it's a new program. It's something slightly different to what the club has experienced before. We're looking at depth across age groups, and that again is part of the 5-year plan. That's not going to happen overnight, but we believe that what we're putting into place now is going to make significant impact and differences as we move further down the road. Coaching education is something that we are really proud of. Joey and myself are educators for US Soccer, and our coaches can expect more education that comes up. We have monthly education as it is, but then ongoing licenses as well for bringing in coaches from outside of the club to join the club, but then also raising the standard of coaching across the city. It's something that we believe strongly in, whether players are in our club or not. There are coaches that are making huge impacts in the game, and we want to be a part of that. And then a facility. We are looking for space to be able to call our own. We have some ideas. We are looking at indoor spaces where we can train year round, where we can provide consistent scheduling, because one of the biggest things that we hear, and something I'll repeat throughout this presentation, is the desire for consistency and the desire to consistently be able to get access to reliable facilities. And one of the best ways we know that we can do that would be to host it ourselves. Here is our micro program. So if you have a younger child involved in micro soccer, or previously you've been out and involved in micro soccer, now you'll see these nice, shiny, bright yellow goals. We just got those as an added experience for the program. They look amazing out on the field, but importantly, we as the Vikings, not only do we administer and oversee the micro soccer program, but we have our own teams that play within that. We recognize it is the future of the club. We recognize that there are between 2,000 and 3,000 kids that are playing in the micro season, depending on the season. But that many kids playing, we know that that is the future of all of soccer in San Francisco. And of course, within our club, that's our target. Our program will have 2 mini seasons. They're 3 months each. They run perfectly concurrently with the micro soccer program. There is training and games and player development within, but then there's also providing access to our academy. Our academy is right here. It's a new experience. We're aiming to achieve over 100 events that will be built around a collaborative team of coaches. So we'll be building a team of coaches versus the traditional setup, which has 1 coach or 2 coaches per team. We'll actually be moving toward a setup that sets our players in environments where they'll have experience with different coaches. We know that that will set them up longer term for a really positive experience, because there is one consistent, and that is change. Coaches change teams. We keep coaches with teams for 2 to 3 years at most. So there's no way that you, within our club, will have the same coach for your entire career. So what we're aiming to do with that is have exposure to different coaches, different voices, different styles, but all within the same model. And we'll touch on model here in just a second. We'll be providing 2 training sessions per week. So we're confirmed for summer on Wednesdays and Thursdays at San Francisco State. We'll also be holding tryouts there, and I'll show you the schedule for that here shortly. We'll be participating in play dates. Play dates are weekends, or it's 1 day. They are providing 3 games, and it's a really good opportunity. It's a really positive environment for our young players and our coaches to be able to go and test ourselves. How are we doing? What has our level been like? Where are we at from when we first started in June to where we are now in the middle of July? We are looking into the fall season and guaranteeing at least one of our training sessions will be on a Thursday at Fort Scott. We've been able to secure that facility, much like we secured SF State, so we get that information out to you as soon as possible. That allows us to then build on some of the feedback that we consistently receive, which is I need to know when training is. I need to know when practice is. And if you've been with the club before or you've experienced club soccer in the city previously, you'll know that it's a lottery process for getting access to fields and it changes seasonally. So you might be on beach chalet at 5 o'clock on a Thursday, and then next season it might not be until 4:30 on Thursday, or you might have to go to Mini and Lovey to get the same practice time. So we know that we want to commit to something that will provide consistency for our families. And we recognize that if you know that you always have training on a Thursday, then we know that we can guarantee we will do everything we can to get training on that Thursday, building on from SF State on Thursdays into the season on Thursdays at Fort Scott. So you can guess that we'd probably be looking for the Wednesday also, having built this schedule Wednesday and Thursday. The academy will play or register and play within the NorCal competition. On the right there, you've probably been looking like, why are the Glens on there? Why are the Seals on there? Why are Dynamo on there? Well, this is the division within the NorCal competition. It's previously been referred to as travel. We're calling this club soccer as part of our academy program. But to help recognize that playing in these divisions doesn't mean travel, meaning that you're traveling to Fresno or Sacramento or San Jose for games. If you end up with a Belmont game, you are only driving to Belmont for a game. But the number of San Francisco teams that are playing within these divisions is also now expanding as we play in the NorCal competition Region 1, which is the city and then south. But now that's coming back to just playing within the city. So much of these divisions will actually be built up of just pure San Francisco teams. So our away games will still be in the city for the most part. That's what our NorCal competition gives you. From internal perspective, we have complete control over rosters. We're able to move players. We're able to assign coaches to teams. We have so much more control over what our players are able to do. Part of that is access to play dates. Part of that is access to tournaments also. So it's a platform that's really, really positive. That's where the rest of the city is also playing. So we recognize the importance of being a part of that and finding that competition. But ultimately, the control that it allows us to have over our teams and our training environment is why we want to affiliate directly with that NorCal competition. As I said, our travel program or our competitive program is club soccer, and our intention is to develop the best teams. Our last town hall talked about what's coming, which was team meetings, age group meetings, working on individual situations, the way the teams are playing, the level that they are playing at, the master plan for those teams, and those have been delivered. Now it's about evaluating what is best for making the best for our teams, and it's always relevant. We have teams that are low level playing club soccer and they're very happy with what they're doing. We want to leave that, we want to support that, and we'll do everything we can to support that. We've also spoke with other ages and other families and other coaches who recognize that they have a team of aggressive players that are eager for more and are looking to challenge themselves further. So we know, again, that the best for them is relevant to pushing them into gold or into premier divisions where relative. So we know that our players, and we're listening to our players through surveys, through these moments of feedback, and being able to say, okay, we recognize that this age group needs to be pushed. We recognize that this age group, we want to keep them together. They have an amazing team environment. That's something that's incredibly positive for these players, and they just want to keep playing soccer together, and we can facilitate that. Importantly, every current Viking player has a place to play. What's coming up next is invites into teams, to these teams that are wanting to stay together, teams that are wanting to continue competing at the level that they are at. We'll simply create invites and set you guys up into Sprocket, and we just roll straight into the next year. We want to keep you. We've trained you for the last year. We provided feedback. We provided information from our coaches, from the club. We're doing town halls. We're giving you the pathway. We're giving you our 5-year plan of where we're going, and we want you to stay as a Viking. You've also given us feedback. We had a 53% response rate on our previous survey that told us some essential things, such as developing our feedback systems that we give to you, aka these town halls and information that we are giving out. We also understand that each team has its own micro climate, and that's something that we've done a lot of work on understanding what's going on. So any prospective players that are joining this call and considering, do we want to go to the Vikings? What are the Vikings offering? We're hoping that you understand that any team that you would be invited to join has its own environment, has its own group, has its own family around the coach and around the players playing. And we expect that any player comes in is going to fit right into that mold. This is a Vikings family. So we're looking for consistency and quality in our levels of play. Again, the NorCal leagues provide that. And with the Region 1 update moving more to San Francisco teams and less around the peninsula, we know that as the local league begins to weaken at U11 and U12, which is when every club in the city is generally playing in the NorCal division, and the independent teams start to thin out a little bit more, we find that teams are having to play up or play down or play the different game size. Whereas when we play in NorCal, we are able to actually put our players in the right age groups and in the right divisions and find this right consistent and quality competition. And building on the academy, we know practice days are important. The consistency, we recognize that practice days are going to be the ones that's going to help determine the right fit for players within teams as well as their playing level. And we know that at least twice a week is the most important thing. Again, reflecting on the idea of facility, securing tryout space at different facilities, and then allowing us to really provide this consistent training schedule for you. The last thing on our club soccer and our development program is our player handbook. Existing players have access to this through the Sprocket app. That's the app where all of our scheduling is, all of our communication is. In that is the handbook around what we expect of our players, what we will expect our players to look like, the behaviors that they can expect, the interactions that they can expect with their coach, some of the developments that are coming based on our most recent survey and most recent connection with families is personal skill development. We know that our teams cannot practice 7 days a week. Our coaches are not available 7 days a week. We also have busy lives and everybody's doing their own thing. But we know that players can play and are often just seeking a little bit of guidance on what they should be doing or what they might be doing. So with our support, we expect to start providing competitions, challenges, team challenges, challenges set by coaches, all these little things that we want to then begin to place an emphasis on our players also taking control of their own soccer experiences. Again, we do what we can based on the constraints of the facilities across the city, the time available of our players, knowing that many of our players are playing other sports or doing other things, especially our older players that are joining high school activities or later on in middle school. We know that there's a lot going on for our players. So one of the things that we're looking to do is provide that support away from our teams to engage and to challenge our players. So look out for that. We also have these magic words called a game model. Game model is essentially how the team will play. What will it look like? Each coach will have the creative freedom to put in their own ideas within the game model. But one of the examples for it is we want to, just like everybody says, we'll build out of the back. Well, what does build out of the back mean? And what does it look like for a Vikings player? And importantly, what does that look like for them so that if they move between teams, whether they get an opportunity to go and play on the other team within the age group, or they get an opportunity to move up an age group and guest play, now they will have a similar language, a similar understanding of what's going on. Again, we want to support the team environment and everybody having a great time together in their family of their team. But we also recognize that there are players sometimes that want to go for more, or players that are just looking for a different challenge sometimes. And we also recognize that, again, our players can be busy. We have spring break coming up. We have players that are going to be on vacation and we need some guest players to support us. Well, it's really important that those players step into those environments with the biggest chance of success. One of the ways that we recognize that that's possible is through the game model. When you receive the ball in this position, these are the things that we are looking to achieve. And then each coach will be able to add their own flair into these moments. So look out for the handbook. You can find it on our website also, but it'll also be within the Sprocket app when you join. This is really important, and this is a question that we get asked a lot. This is directly from the Parks and Recreation. So SFRPD have control over all of the registration that the teams go through within the city. They have a rule that says that one player can only be on one team. There is the SFYS League, and then, of course, all of the clubs that play. And if I'm about to give you an education, I'm sorry that it'll be so brief, but essentially, you can play on just one of those teams. You can play on a Vikings team and play in SFYS leagues with the recreational or the upper house division. You can play in NorCal as a Vikings player, but you can't then also go and play for your school team. You go to a school and they have a fourth grade team and you're also on a Vikings team, you cannot go and play on that team. It's part of the equity of the city where the demand for fields is incredibly high. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's not really much space to keep adding fields. So one of the ways of managing this is by creating the rule that says players must not only be residents of San Francisco, but they must also play on one team. So we have this signing when our players register with the club that they confirm this commitment that they are only playing on one team. And then the ultimate stick that is offered up is that if players are found to violate this rule, both teams lose APBO. So this is the approved public benefit. We pay a significantly reduced fee for being an APBO status club and teams. So we play, I think it's roughly 10% of the actual fees that SFRPD would like to charge for fields and access to fields. So it's really important for us and for the school teams or any other teams that we maintain that status. Don't like the idea of players being restricted from future play, and I think that's just part of the emphasis from RPD. So we felt it was really important to share that with you guys, that ultimately one team for your player. We hope that's the Vikings. So now to tryouts. Here is what our tryout schedule looks like. 18s, 17s, and 16s, these birth year, this is the year that these players were born. This is our academy program. They will have from 9 till 10. 14s, 13s, 12s of the girls, and then boys onwards. So there are some questions. Where are our tryouts? Tryouts are on the multipurpose field at San Francisco State. What if my age group is not listed? My age group isn't listed, you will receive communication from us that notifies you of the steps forward with your team. This is generally because we think the team is going to stay together, team is happy with the way that they are, and then also there may only be a limited interest in joining that team. This is what we often see, as you see with the age groups here. These are often older players who are set within their teams, and also our desire to not upset those teams. Players have expressed an interest to join the club or come and try out with us. We want to bring those players into your training environment or set up a special training session so that we can see those players and see how they fit within your team. So if you're one of these players, a 2011 boy, a 2008 girl, for example, then there will be special communication that comes from us to you. Part of this is to reduce the stress on those days for the teams that we know we want to keep together and that have expressed a desire to stay as they are. But then also that allows for a deeper focus on some of these younger age groups where we really need to get lots of eyes on these players as the future of the club and want to provide the best experience. We also recognize there's a lot of players that will register for tryouts and want to come out. So we need to set up for the biggest chance of success. What should I wear? If you are a Vikings player, you will proudly wear your Vikings shirt, your red Vikings shirt. If you're not a Vikings player, you're free to wear whatever you like. You wear a white shirt, you wear a blue shirt, you wear a pink shirt, you wear yellow socks, white socks, whatever you like. I had a coach once tell me that to go to tryouts and to impress, you need to wear something that stands out. So then the coach says, oh, that player over there with yellow socks, yeah, he's a pretty good player because everybody else had black socks on. So I always wore yellow socks. So take that hint from me. If I see you out there with yellow socks, I'll know you were on this call or I know you watch this recording and I know that you're a smart player that we want to bring to the club. But everything else is shin guards. It's ready to play soccer. And do I have to attend? Yes. Quite simply, yes. It's tryout weekend. There aren't any games that day. So we want you to be there to support your team if you are out on this day. If your team is holding a special tryout, we want you to be there. And we'll only put those tryouts on when we know that there's no team conflict. We also recognize that there may be issues, but part of that will be the communication that we use through Sprocket, just to recognize that our players are returning, that they are going to be able to deliver and join our team as we have set up. The third part to this is reducing the stress overall of tryouts and our ultimate aim of moving away from tryouts to be able to say, Our teams are our teams. We stand by our Vikings players. Sometimes we have to move players around. We move players up, we move players down to find the right level for them to play. And that's part of what the academy will be, with moving players around and beginning to develop and give players this idea of not being comfortable all of the time and trying different things out, trying different positions, trying different teams. So that's what the academy is going to start bringing through the club. But in terms of our teams, we want to reduce the stress. We want to confirm with our Vikings players that they are still Vikings players and that they are returning to the club. Here is the master plan. Here is the the multi-purpose field. It's right next to the Mashouf Wellness Center. We have two entrances. We have pre-registered players. Pre-registered players make things very easy. So thank you if you've pre-registered. Then the pre-registration, simply show up, check in with our staff on site, pick up a penny with a number on it, so we know who you are. We're able to tie the number to the player, and then away you go onto the field, and there'll be coaches leading the training session right there. If you have not registered, and this may be something to tell your friends if they've not registered, they'll come around the side. That's like a gravel access road. Down that side there, we just have a little bit of paperwork to fill out that is done through Sprocket. It's fairly simple. However, we just need to make sure that we get all the information from our players, so that when you bring Messi to our training and to our tryouts, we don't let Messi slip away. That's not in our interest. So we want you to be able to arrive 20 to 30 minutes early. We recognize the traffic and the parking around SF State can be somewhat problematic. So we'll have what we're calling a concierge service. It's pretty cool. So we'll have plenty of staff available just to simply run out to the car and say, hey, who are you? Great, we've got you right here. We'll check you because you've pre-registered. Okay, young man, okay, young lady, come with me. Let's get you checked in right here. Let's get you your penny. So now you can take off and do whatever you need to do in terms of finding parking, in terms of running, doing an errand, go grab a coffee, come right back. Then when we're done with our training and with our tryouts, we'll have just a little debrief afterwards. That'll be with me on the day, talk about what to expect next. And then that's tryouts done for that age group for that day. So on that same field where we'll be holding tryouts, we were able to secure the field for 3 hours on Wednesdays and Thursdays for 3 months. June, July, August. We will be out there training. The academy will have the 5 till 6 p.m. slots. The 9v9 team, will be in that 6 till 7 slot, and then the latest slot for our 11v11 teams. We recognize that during the summer, it's vacation time. We have a summer break built in there around the July 4th. So if you're beginning to plan summer, I recognize it's April and my wife will laugh at me because everybody's planned out already, I think. But if you are undetermined on when you're going to take your summer vacations, please consider taking it during that end of June, beginning of July timeframe, so that academy can train, so that 9v9 teams can train, so that 11v11 teams can train. Expectation out there will be our coaches will be there. Training will be in small groups. It will be in teams also. So the training will change week to week as we're out there. Now, it's all part of our attendance, which is tracked through Sprocket, but ultimately, this is what our training schedule will be. Again, we've been able to secure this space. We know that consistency is really important. So here's 3 months of scheduled training for you as you consider other sports or other activities, while Wednesday and Thursday is taken up. What if you can't make Wednesday? That's okay. You can come out for Thursday alone. That's not a problem. But our important thing here is to get everybody playing as soon as possible. And now you'll see some games. So we have Paul Good for scrimmages in the Presidio, June 28th, July 12th. We'll be setting games up there as much as possible. So just watch this space. We'll start putting placeholders into schedules so that everybody's beginning to be aware of what's going on. We have play dates, kind of reference those as access through NorCal, but there's one on July 13th in Santa Rosa, and there's another on July 27th in Morgan Hill that we have an intention of putting our players into from the academy, and then also our 9v9 teams. And there's an asterisk there simply because that's all. Sometimes our players aren't available, it's a busy weekend, or sometimes they just don't have those teams available to them. Summer session, to answer both questions coming in there. It's not mandatory, but it's built into the fees that our program has become into this 10-month program, having players consistent access to training. So it's not mandatory, although I'd like to say it is because I want you guys there, of course. We put this on because we recognize the feedback that was coming in with people asking, hey, how do we get access to more? And previously the summer program was an additional fee. We've built it all into our programming now just to provide this consistent training for our players. So you're a fall player, you start training with us on June 2nd and you're ready to hit the ground running. And again, if it's just 1 day a week that you can join us, it's just 1 day a week, but that's better than no days a week. More scrimmages is TBC, of course. We have partner clubs that we want to work with and get scrimmages set up. We know as part of our commitment to 100 events for our players throughout the year, that not only includes league play and training sessions, but the value of scrimmages, the value of things like play dates to give our players as much experience and exposure as possible. So up next, we have the Vikings AGM on May 19th. That will be in your Sprocket calendar. That will be virtual. We will need you there if you can be there to help us hit quorum so we can vote in our next wave of board members. We also ask if you have an interest in joining our board. We do have open seats and we're always looking for people that can help drive our organization forward. We've talked about facilities. We've talked about having access to other areas of the city where we're looking to develop. We're looking at sponsorships and partnerships. So there are lots of things that we are looking to do to drive this club forward. Much of that kind of beyond the day-to-day of operations and what we are doing. However, if you have that interest, please, please, please do reach out to me. Vikings Day will be Sunday, June 1st. It's at Beach Chalet. Again, this will be in your Sprocket calendar. There'll be games running out there from the little ones and the academy playing all the way up to walking soccer. So we will literally have a ball rolling for every member in our club, parent or player, that can come and play with us. So again, watch that space. And as we push into tomorrow, it's the evolution of programming tailored to meet the needs of our members. As we ask you for feedback through Satori, or as we ask you for feedback as we're putting our groups together when we do team meetings and age group meetings, these are things where we rely on your feedback to just help us understand what's going on, what you're looking for, what we could provide a little bit more of or a little bit less of. It's really important to us. So please continue to give that to us. And ultimately, it's about consistent and organized soccer for players who want to play the game. If our players want to play the game, we will have a place for you. Cynthia, to answer your question, there is a fee for summer training, but it's all built into what's going on within the 10 months of fees within the club. So the follow-up from here for everybody that's attended will be access to this presentation. And then there will be just some key answers in there that have come up through these questions that will direct to what the fees for the club look like, what the structure for the year looks like, and that will make it all very clear for you so that you can see what exactly you're signing up for to become a San Francisco Vikings soccer player, whether you are returning and staying with your team, you're finding a new team, or you're brand new to our family of Vikings. I'm just reading through these questions. Brad, thank you for answering that one. Thank you, Rado, for your answer on that one too. Christine, Joey is about to answer to you. So that is all of the information I have to give you right now. That is our plan as we move into tryouts. That is an overview of what our revamped club soccer program will look like. We will have, as I said, a place for every player to return and guarantee that place for those players to come and join our club that are interested. We will make this happen. Tryouts is a stressful time. We know that, but our ambition is to not only move away from tryouts in the end, but actually make this a more pleasant experience by guaranteeing, again, our membership, and then also the consistency of our programming and the information that we are giving out to you. So please feel free to drop out of here. The information hopefully is good for you. If you have questions, keep firing them away. And then, as I said, I'll have this follow-up for you so you can have information on just anything that you just want to read up on, a little bit more about what the academy looks like, whether that's just exploring the fees a little bit more and then clarifying kind of what's going on in terms of Alvin's question. We're looking at a recreational team, depending on if we already have a recreational team at that level. Alvin, if you want to just go ahead and give us a little bit more context on that, or shoot us an email too, we can give you that information. But right, absolutely. Our ambition is to be helpful. Our ambition is to answer questions, is to make this just a little bit easier in terms of what tryouts is, because we know that for one stressful weekend, we know that the year of soccer that we're going to provide is going to be pretty incredible. And so once we get those answers to you now, we know that that can help you make an informed decision, and then we can see you as Vikings within the club. Marty, good question. How many teams are there generally per birth year? That changes throughout the club. Younger will have more. We recognize the club is essentially a pyramid, more players at the bottom, and then it kind of filters into less teams as they get older, partly because two rosters on our younger side of the club turn into one roster at the older side of the club, because 10 players on a younger roster turns into 15, 16, 17, 18 players at the older side of the club. So that's why it generally funnels into smaller sides. So that's one thing that's kind of undetermined, but our ultimate goal is 2 to 3 teams across the base, moving up into 1 to 2 teams as our teams get older. That's part of the growth of the academy that we're looking at. That's part of our growth of our membership. Are we there right now? We are not there right now. We do have some holes that we're working on building and developing. So we are aiming for some new teams, but ultimately looking at building from the bottom and progressing these teams through the club as part of our 5-year plan and